David and housekeeping Austin Death.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dinkman.
I'm Jeff Doss. What's up, guys? Excuse the craziness, but I had the overlay on CTE, so I was like, "Wait, where's our opening video? I can't find it. Oh crap!"
Oh, that's why there was 2 seconds. It was a 2-second
Yeah,
delay.
that's why it was like a couple seconds of me acting like I know what I was doing. So it happens sometimes, you know. But yes, welcome, guys. Hope everyone's doing well, having a great day. I actually may have to move it over to that so we can show all of our sponsors of what we are doing. But we have lots going on right now, and there we go. We, again, sponsored by the Virtual Fight Tour. Also, coming up,
Big time.
not this weekend, but next weekend, is the Smoky Mountain Showdown. So Smoky Mountain Showdown is a new NASCAR AAA tournament in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. So this is going to be a great
event before.
Sir?
Have you been to this event before?
This is the first year of their event. I
Okay.
know these promoters, though. I've been to their tournament when it was in Myrtle Beach area.
right.
I ran the tournament for 3 years. I was the coordinator and arbitrator of the tournament. So great people, the McCures. And so excited for their first event. Gatlinburg is a happening city. It is like going down to Myrtle Beach, but without the beach. And just think,
Tell me a little bit. I don't know anything about Gatlinburg.
There's just so many shops and different things. There's log cabins. There's this great place, which anyone that's going, I would suggest you guys to go to Climbworks if you want to go to one of the best zip lining places where there's a bunch of different zip lining and you get to ride ATVs up to it. Lots of cool things like that. Yeah.
So what is Gatlinburg next to? If you know, I don't know.
Pigeon Forge, which is like the twin city of it. Okay, so it's Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg.
This is very good analogy, by the way.
Yeah, so there's one more actually. There's like three cities all around this area. Dollywood is there. Okay, that's where Dollywood is. And Dollywood opens that weekend. So it's a happening time. It's gonna be crazy busy there, but go enjoy some sport karate and then enjoy a little fun.
Now, this is next weekend.
Yes, next weekend. Yep.
Man, listen, St. Patrick's Day weekend.
Exactly.
People don't even have to be Irish to celebrate. And
right.
Most people do. So
and here's the deal. In Tennessee, Tennessee is, especially there, it's like the moonshine capital of the world, and it's actually legalized there. Moonshine is. So they make it a certain way. So all the judges, they got it sponsored by Old Smoky, which is it's just a moonshine place there called Old Smoky. Yeah, and so every judge that judges there today gets a bottle after the tournament, not during the tournament.
Hang on. Hold up. We're going to stay on this for just a minute. Wait a minute. We've talked about paying judges. We haven't talked about getting judges drunk. Okay. Let me see if I got this. But no, I mean, that's a little bit of a joke. But at the same time, that's actually a pretty cool payment. All right. So it's like, hey, man, I just want to show my appreciation. Here you go. All right. Yeah. That's actually pretty cool. Okay. So every judge who's there gets that.
I believe so. Yeah.
That's a great way to get people to sign up to judge. I tell you what, like, hey, we're not really on the level where we can do this, but you know what? We got the sponsor and we're going to kick it right all back to our judges so we can keep the support going. Hey, that's pretty cool. I actually really dig that.
Yeah.
It's
going to be fun.
Good.
And they're excited to continue this going. They have it set for the next 5 years to really put on this event. So
in that same venue.
Yes. So pretty cool. So we got the Smoky Mountain Showdown. Then we got one of the biggest events this year Ocean State Grand Nationals. Say it,
Yeah.
say it, say it for us. How much money are they giving for first place there, Alex?
So, oh yeah, $3,500. Right?
35. No, I can't even say it. Do it.
Try it. No. I want you to try.
$3,500. I can't do
Oh
it.
my
No,
gosh,
it's not-
you are not Italian.
I'm not Italian at all.
You got to do the Goomba, right? To do the
Yeah,
Goomba, you
right.
got to put the fingers together and don't bend your
Goomba.
wrist like this because then you look sissy. You got to move it like a sturdy hand,
I
right?
feel weird like I'm doing.
Then you got to hit it like you just had some great bolognese, right? And you're like,
Okay.
$500.
No, dollars. That's the thing. Yeah, you gotta say that.
Say it like you just had some good bolognese and you got a great Pinot Noir
I don't know
sitting
what
right
that
in
is.
front of you.
I don't know what bolognese is.
What?
A bowl of eggs? Is that what you said?
No, bolognese. It's like a meat sauce.
Okay.
Meat
Bowl
like,
and
with
eggs.
pasta.
A bowl of eggs. I want a bowl of eggs, man.
Stop. Come on. You've had this. Like when you have lasagna, there's a meat sauce.
Yeah, that's called
Bolognese.
okay. Sure.
This is
All right.
I can't right now. I can't.
And yeah, Appalachian people are a different breed. They are, Brett. Hope you're doing well, man. Hope to see you soon. All right. So Ocean State Grand Nationals, lots going on. Hope you guys are getting registered. Go to oceanstategrandnationals.net and get signed up. You know, you can also go to myeventtex.com and register there. But get your hotels, get everything set up. It's going to be a great event. I like how Friday, Saturday is all black belts. So we're going to be focusing on that, getting
All
things
business.
done. And then Sunday, focus on the underbelts. Really cool setup that they have there. It's going to be on TV. So I know March 25th is the deadline for you guys that are trying to get your music set up for the night show. So if you feel like, hey, I'm going to be in the finals, I'm going to do music, go ahead and get that set up. Go through the website, and they have a program and someone to get the music set up for you guys. So, and that deadline will be March 25th.
And they have to do that because they're on TV, right?
Yeah, you can't do copyrighted music, you know.
So,
yeah.
I mean, if like someone, because let's just say someone's like, man, I typically get like second or third place in my division. I ain't gonna make it. I'm not gonna worry about it. Bad choice. But hey, things happen, right?
Yeah.
You always get someone out there, right? Like, a great example of that is when you and Mike Welch were talking about, top comic competitors. And number one with a bullet, he's like Anthony Murata. Anthony Murata was one of those guys who was like, and then sure enough, one tournament, he wins his division and wins the freaking weapons overall, right?
Yeah,
so you can't think like that, right?
Right.
But then, like, what do? You guys got to think ahead, because what are you going to do? I think what some people would do, this is back when Bam Johnson was there, he'd just come out with the bongos.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
That was so cool, right?
The drum, man, the big old drum.
Yeah,
but
he's not around.
Everyone did that. For a while, everyone did that.
It was pretty cool.
You know what I wanted to do? I wanted to have like a live like MC or or a live like DJ like set up behind me and just scratch.
Did I not tell you about this?
No, you did tell me about that. Yeah. I remember that cool. at a local tournament. Yeah.
No, it was like even more low. It was an intramural tournament. Nick Wynn and I had our buddy Bach, who was a DJ, and he's just scratching, and it was really cool.
That's awesome. All right, so again, guys, go and check out Ocean State Grand Nationals. We're going to talk in a little bit about some OSG, Ocean State Grand National moments. I'm going to share a lot about the 1990s and how it was just some cool memories and some big things that happened. And I think we have a lot to look forward to. It's going to be probably one of the most talked about events of the year. So get ready.
Well, I'm going to have a bunch of questions then. So I'm the guy with the questions. You're the guy with the answers.
Yes, sir. All right. So now one more thing we're going to get into is one of our other sponsors. What do you feel like is next for VFT? What is next? We had a grudge match, right? We've had Europe versus the Americas. We've had an all-female show. We had the fantasy lineup type thing, the pick your team thing. We had an all junior show. We've had kind of everything. We've had some of the top ones. We had a forum show. What are we going to do next? You know?
Well, see, that's the thing is he doesn't need to find something new for it to be amazing. Because even when you mentioned like the forums, like that was so awesome. Yeah. But that was December of 2020.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a little bit ago. We could do that again. Right. And we had a grappling match.
Right.
But there's so many of those. Like even the junior one, that was a little bit ago now. All those guys are top tier adults now.
Right.
Most of them are. So it's like we could go back to that well. It ain't dry.
Yeah. And even the all female ones. The female one, that was different too. Like like some of those have gone on to be top competitors. Some of those we hadn't seen in a while. Like there's a lot of new stories to share.
Well, and the USA versus Europe, that's not done. That
No.
will never be done because there's always the question of who's on top right now. All right. Well, at that event, it was Europe. Right. And they're probably looking at it like, no, we're the best. You guys held your crown for a little while. Time to back up, hold my beer. I'm the one on top. And America will never.
Like to see, you know what? I like to see some more schools, like school teams versus each other. They kind of did the Ben's versus Next Level thing, and that was really cool for the young ones. I'd like to see maybe some schools or like
Dumlow's group.
Yeah, that was really cool with the West Coast.
Very good. And then they did. But here's what to answer the question though, when you're like, what's next? I legitimately feel like this is what's next. Number one, rematches, because there's a few rematches I would absolutely love to see. I just would. I could go down the list, but I don't want to derail us anymore.
Right.
Love to see some rematches. I think actual like title belts would be cool. Like I have the VFT lightweight title. I have the VFT middleweight title.
And kind of over these past 3 or 4 years, they've been creating these rankings, and now they can kind of set it up for that, right? Maybe do one more year. Maybe do one more year to do that, and then set up for the middle of this year. Who knows?
Why not? I mean, why not now? You know, you could, in theory. You know, I don't know who would be the lightweight number one, because I think we should just go light, middle, heavy.
Yeah. And then you can do light and heavy for 30 plus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you can kind of do female
light, heavy for the women.
Light and middle. You know what I mean? So.
Or light, middle, high, whatever you don't want to call it.
Whatever you want to do. Yeah. Cool. So
all right.
That's cool. So I think that's a good idea. Another thing I would like to see would be like Mexico versus one of the states or something like that. Get some more involvement from that Latin American side, Guatemala or Mexico. That would be great. Or
what if you did something where it was like Venezuela?
I was going to say Legend versus Next Level, and do like the whole school versus their whole school. That would be sick. Because you could do that.
Now, if you did do that, let's look at that. Like if you did Legend versus Next Level, okay? I think both of those schools, if they did agree to that and go, if Tony and Jesse are like, listen, Jesse's like, listen, Tony, I want to do this. You got great people. You always got a stable of people. They're always with you all the time, and that's the same thing for Jesse, right? I've been singing those praises for a while, but if they did do that, I mean, all Tony would have to say is, listen, guys, everybody in the school needs to be training for the next 3 months straight, right? Nobody leaves the school.
That's right.
This is our only mission in life, right? And it's same thing for Jesse. I mean, how cool would that be? We've all done little things like that. We've had like inter-school tournaments where like, we're going to go over to this school and train this day. And if maybe you've never have, maybe you entertain the idea of doing something like that, Yeah. But it's really cool.
That's cool.
That is now the thing I wish would happen.
Yeah.
That was a good one, Jeff. That was good.
So lots of fun stuff. Thanks, guys. Let's go out and support our sponsors. Also go and check out mainnetwork.shop and get you your t-shirts. We got lots
Get some
going
new
on there. So support what we do. And also, guys, go check out our Patreon channel. As right after we finish this, we're going to record our bonus episode talking about really digging into our weekends and the things that we do in our daily life on today. That's what we're going to talk about. Last
Trying
week
to
we
get
did
the
an awesome,
inside scoop of the inside scoop.
right. Last week we did a great rapid fire edition. So where we picked about 5 or 6 different people, each of us, and talked about them. So go check that out. This weekend for me, man, was a great time. I went to my friend who's watching the show right now, Mark Myers' event. It was his first tournament in Virginia Beach, King Neptune Championships. Was a great time. And I won the Forms of Weapons Grand Championship and got runner-up in the Fighting Grand Championship. My students had a great time there. So it was an awesome event and looking forward to it, next year. And we got to, we go out over there. You got to get some crab legs. So that was fun. Got to get seafood when you go to Virginia to the beach. So how about you, man?
Well, it's all over the place. I can't stop thinking
we
about.
We don't need to go all the way into it. I know we talked about this.
Here's what it is. I can't really get into it because I cannot stop thinking about the event that I was just at last night. And you guys are going to get all of that in the Patreon because I gave you kind of a preface of what I was walking into, and what I was walking into, what I thought I was walking into was nothing close to what happened. Right? It is all over the map. Oh, yeah. By the way, you know who this is? This is Patrice. You know who that is, right?
Mom.
That's my mom. Mom?
Yes.
Jeff didn't know what bolognese was.
Bowl of eggs.
Listen to the pod, Mom.
Whatever. It's sauce. It's just sauce. Red sauce, white sauce. Yeah, it's just sauce.
Stop. Red sauce.
Anyways. All right. So we talked about what's next for VFT. All right. I'm going to get into the Ocean State in the 1990s, man.
Let's get to the meat and potatoes of this now.
My first Ocean State Grand Nationals was 1994. Okay. So, wow. And I shared this with, when Chris and Don were on, and about it being at the amusement park, right? Which was awesome time there.
I still can't believe it happened.
My mom was selling, had a booth at that time, and she was selling martial arts gifts, toys, and jewelry. And so we drove from Virginia up there with a Suburban and a trailer behind it, drove all the way up there overnight, set up her and my dad and I think a friend to help sell all that while I competed. And man, it was just a great time. I didn't win first place that tournament. I got like 2 second places in Forms of Weapons and got 4th in fighting. Was an awesome time. So many things that just stood out about that event. The finals was really cool, but the thing that I remember is Jamie Webster, Hiro Kota, and Richard Brennan. Three-way tie for Forms Grand. And this, I think, was Richard's last. This was either his last one or his first one back. I'm trying to remember because he had that injury. That he got injured doing some of the stunts for Power Rangers. And so I think this is one of his first ones back.
I think it was the other way around. I think this was what it would have been one of the first ones back.
Yeah. So he, it was just a really cool time. Those three to me, were the Forms competitors of that year. You're talking about Jamie Webster, who is just one of the most, not random, but he stood out on his own, right? He didn't look like anybody else.
He was very creative.
Very creative, but very just hard style martial arts. Then he would add some breakdancing in there, right? So was really cool with that. Throwing ridge hands into splits and stuff was really cool. Then you talk about Hiro Kota, who was probably one of the most fast. If anyone that used the whole ring in an open form, like a hard style. We're having some internet issues. I don't know what happened.
Did you glitch for a sec?
Yeah, I did. All right. So But anyways, it was really cool. He would use the whole ring, and everyone loved Hero, man. Hiro Koto is awesome. And then you had Richard Brandon, who's just a legend, right?
He's
So
a
you had
showman.
these two guys, Hero and Jamie, and they were kind of like, who was going to be that next guy? 94 really was their year because after this, because Richard was kind of out for a while, right? And he was kind of in and out doing different things. So it was just an awesome event to see that, you know. And I just remembered then, like, okay, well, what do you do? Because you had to tie break. You didn't just they didn't do a show of hands or just have a computer system. Everybody
ran
went
it
up and
back.
did it again. Yeah. So you know, Hero added a couple things. Jamie, he just turned his form sideways, and it looked different. Yeah.
Wait, see, I remember hearing about this story of this legendary three-way tie from like a few different people this year, and obviously
Yeah.
I was not there.
Yeah. Because then it
I don't
happened
remember the
again
detail.
in DC
Are you
too. It
saying
happened-
he did
yeah.
the same form, the same way? He just turned it just to the side, just 90 degrees, and
to
just
the side or like an angle? It was just kind of altered. He just did the same thing. He just turned it, and it was pretty cool. And I believe he won actually. I'm trying. Yeah, it was just nuts. So yeah,
that's really cool and creative. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen today because nobody's gonna, you know, run the forms back. That
Right.
never happens.
Unfortunately, I like that though.
I always loved it, you know.
Man,
like
it was
if you
really
got
cool.
into a tie, I always felt like if there's a tie, I'm winning this damn tie.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I love that.
There's
It's
only like
all
a
right,
couple times where I lost.
put
the
it in
tie.
my hands. You know, put it in my hands. Don't put it in anyone else's hands. Right.
Right.
Yep. So that was kind of my first, you know, foray into Ocean State. The next year, I won my division. I made it to stage. I was in the finals. 95 was one of my best years. And the grands was myself, Butch Marks, Kingston Ing, Jimmy Pham, Guy Burkett, Jonathan Hillman, and Justin Margado. So us 7, right? That was yeah.
Wow.
So
wow.
how
And
I
those
just
of you
remember that,
guys who are just like, I know like 2 of those names. Literally, Jeff, say it back one more time, just so that everybody, you can write it down.
Yeah.
And you guys can Google all these guys. You look them up on YouTube if, you know,
yeah,
Wally
if they have some
Faulkner's
stuff.
got stuff on YouTube of them, but say the
Yeah.
names again one more time because I
So
don't
yeah, Justin Margado, Jonathan Hillman, Butch Marks, which is Casey Marks' brother, who's amazing, an innovator, right?
Amazing that we have to say it like that.
Yeah, I know. Jeff Doss, me. Butch sorry, I said Butch Marks. Guy Burkett, all right. Kingston Ing and Jimmy Pham. All right. So
Kingston
that
Ing,
year so
Jeff,
far.
on Jeff's list, the #1 kicker of all time.
Yeah.
Wow, just
Yeah.
amazing performers.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm
So
stopping. Go ahead.
here, it was looking like it was Kingston and Jimmy's year. Those are the 2 that either
It
won
would
every
make
time,
sense to
right?
look that way. Yeah.
Well, this was like Guy Burkett came out of nowhere and beat everybody and won the whole thing. And he was, because I won the 11, 12-year-olds, but he was the 10-year-old that won the whole grand, beating the 17-year-old and beating a 14 or 15-year-old. You know, like that's unheard of these days, right? That wouldn't happen, you know? So you really think about it, like that's not something that you see. That they split it up 13 under and 14 and 17, you know? So imagine
when's
that.
the time,
like,
how often does that ever happen? I mean, obviously, it never happens now because they're split.
right.
But how often did that ever happen?
Because
where
I saw it. I've seen it happen a couple of times with weapons because Ashley Lane did it.
Ashley Lane,
Wayne
Douglas.
Douglas, you know, Rudy may have done it once, but he didn't really start winning those until later on.
Yeah.
Gemma did it a few times when she was younger.
Yep.
You know, so there were different ones
It's,
like
it's,
that.
it's a
but
rare
man,
thing. But all those people you just named, they're kind of like, they're kind of legendary.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so man, Guy Burkett just killed it. I know for me, it was one of my better performances. I felt awesome. You know, anytime that Carmichael Simon comes up to you and just like, dude, keep doing what you're doing because you're getting there. And I'll never forget that. Like, it was just like, whoa, like it was a big deal. Right.
It's amazing to get just like a subtle little, like,
Yeah.
didn't even really compliment that much on you. Doesn't get but just the fact that the acknowledgement, just is like, all right, the right place.
Right. So this event was just huge. I was at the big convention center. Great finals. You know, when I look back at pictures of this and videos of this, because there is some videos of it, because I did some of my old school sushi schooling sessions on sport martial arts on this, and we had some video from it. But the stage is in the middle of the whole center, and everyone is around it, right? So you see audience in front, behind, everywhere. It just makes it look like a big deal, right? It was cool. There was just a lot going on at this event, but there was, and hopefully next week we'll have him on. We're supposed to have him on today, but Chris Rapald had a set fight, and so did John Payton. Both of those guys had set fights against either, I think one was from Canada that they went against, and the other guy was from Europe. And these were Waco pro fights, okay, which is a topic now because they're doing this again in next month or 2 months in Europe, Waco pro fights.
Yeah, England and Italy are doing it, and it's it's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
It's worth double the price of admission.
Definitely.
I don't know what the price of admission is.
Right, but dude, it was just a wild event. It was cool, just the different, like Chris Rapald come in there with the Atomics red, white, and blue stars and stripe uniform. Yeah, just like USA, and it was cool,
like
man.
Rex Kwon Do.
Yeah, the whole place was just going wild, and I hope to be able to talk about that soon with him. But so again, 94 great experience, 95 great experience, 96 another great experience, but 97 to me is probably one of the best Ocean State Grand Nationals of all time. Okay, there's so many things that happen. All right. It was maybe our second or third event as Team Elite. Okay, so there's that. We go into this event without really a coach. We don't have a coach. All right.
At this point, wait a minute. Because I thought, if I'm remembering the way you told the story before, Jeff Smith wasn't the coach yet at this point, or he was?
No, this is actually where we got him. We had the conversation and the talk to get him. That was on the Sunday while we were leaving. I remember the conversation. I was sitting there with Spencer, my mom, and him talking about it, and set it up. And then the next tournament was Battle of Atlanta, and he was coaching the team from there. So, and he had a couple, a year and a half of a great, a great run with the team. So there's that. We got Jeff Smith as our coach at the end of the tournament, right? I had just moved up to the 13-14 division, I guess it was at that time. So for me, it was a great event to move up, going unseeded, and then getting 2 second places in forms and weapons to Butch Marks. Having a great, just that getting myself to that next level, right? Because the next event, the next 3 events, I win first place. So it was at the first tournament of the year, I got 8th place. All right. So it's like a big step in that right direction, right?
In such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Look at
so
all
like
those
2
jumps
months
you made.
or 1. Yeah. So it was big for me. I'll always remember that.
For those listening, hearing like, oh, and then I won first place in my division. You don't quite understand the depth of winning your division at that time. There was no creative. There was no musical. Well, there was a musical, but there was no
2 musical divisions. That was it.
Right. There was no extreme
traditional.
It
was 7 forms divisions and 4 weapons divisions
total.
Yeah. So for black belts, for junior black belts, yep. So imagine that, right? So and again, the tournaments were bigger. I mean, really bigger. So it was just nuts. So some tournaments would split boys and girls, but not all were doing that. Compete Nationals was doing that, and Bluegrass was doing that, and Diamonds was doing that. Those were really the only ones that were doing that. So, and Battle of Atlanta sometimes. So just a crazy event. Where we're at 97. All right, so there's that. Friday night, then, we didn't have all the other things going on. We had team forums that was still pretty new. We had team fighting, and then Waco tryouts. Okay, so That was the thing. So we were there watching that. Here's the deal, though. Ocean State back then, they had teams from all over. They had a team from South Africa, okay?
Yeah.
And they are competing against, which I think they had no clue who they were competing against, but they compete against John Valera and Mike Chat doing their epic team form, right? And
like their choreographed one.
their choreographed team form, synchronized form. And the South Africans beat them, whoop them, come in, do their like WKF style 3-man traditional form, and just whoop them. It was just wild and crazy, right? So that's one upset. The second one is
that's clearly an upset, but at the same time, I do remember because I watched Mike Chat's and John Valera's team form, dozens of times, and I remember thinking like, this is not as good as if you guys were just doing it on your own. Because it just always kind of looked like you're kind of it looked a little like they were going through the motions. Perfect technique at half speed.
Yeah.
Because they're Mike Chat and John frickin' Valera. They're not going to make any mistakes, and they're going to do a few things. They're going to be amazing, and they're just going to win, right?
I do remember. All right, so again, the year before '96, I remember that was when actually Carmichael came back, but he was on Metro. He had left JPM and went to Metro. I just remember that being like a big deal.
Oh yeah, and he wore the red uniform, and he cut his hair too.
Yeah. So that was a big deal. So there's always something that I remember these, but one thing I was telling you earlier was that there were so many tournaments back to back. They're all AAA events or World Tour events, whatever. It wasn't called that then, but and like in April we had Ocean State. In May we were in Boston. So it was just like both of those are so close to each other. Sometimes it kind of blends a little bit. Yeah.
In Boston. Was this one in Boston too?
So the Ocean State was in Providence.
No, but I mean, was the New England Open in Boston?
Yes.
And it hadn't been, I've never been to the New England Open when it was in Boston.
Oh, yeah.
So I
went when it was in the hockey rink. Okay. In the hockey rink on the ice. Yeah, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. I can miss
Anyways. Yeah. So yeah. Just a cool event. And this is at that time when a lot of the tournaments were up north. So Crane was huge then.
Yep.
And, Empire State Nationals was in March. So there was just so much going on. And then this is where we have Team Elite that is brand new, has 2 or 3 teams. We also have trade wins. All right. The team fighting. This is the first time that trade wins beat JPM. Okay. And they had
big deal.
Brady's. They had the Brady's, and I believe they had Johnny Guante. They may have had they had several different people on their team, but I know it was the Brady's, and it was either Johnny Guante or it could have even been Chris Styles that were on that team. If Coach is on here later or watching, maybe he'll let us know. But
I feel like it was Chris Styles because I think Donald talked about that in the
yeah, he did. Yeah,
and I think Jeff and I were just talking about that episode, that interview. Guys, if you want to just go back and hear some amazing vet stories, go back, listen to the Donald Brady show. It's amazing.
Dude, it was awesome. All right. So there's that upset. All right. Then like this event's just so packed. Because this is also 97 when they did the USA versus Italy fight. Okay. All right. In this. Yes, it was. There's Coach Chris. Yes. All right. So there's that. Also, this is the first time I remember seeing Askia Allison. All right. And this is when Askia Allison has dreads. All right. And he won the super light and he fights Pedro. And to me, he beat Pedro. All right. I just remember being like, yo, Ski is killing it. All right. And Ski fought his tail off, man. And he was just wearing like a white, like Taekwondo uniform.
This is why these stories are so important, because without this, no one really remembers it. You don't really get the weight of it. You hear like, oh, Ski lost to Pedro. Oh yeah, because it's Pedro, and you don't get it. the end result doesn't tell the story.
No,
It's like
dude,
just
it
like what
was
you just said. Like, no, my eyes said Ski won this fight.
right. It was just nuts, man. Just the whole event, and it's not even done because then you have the USA versus Europe fight, right? Which is super like just intense and very close. Then let's see, there's still a couple other things I'm missing. All right, you have Trey Wins beating JPM, right? Then informs to me, all right, John Blair's my coach. I'm gonna always support him and be like, yo, no, you can't beat John. But that was maybe the first time I ever was like, I thought KA won. I thought Kevin Thompson won. All right. And that was where I was like, whoa. Kevin Thompson pulled out because for years he did MP, right? And that was his traditional form he did, or he did his, open form. This is when the first tournament that I remember him seeing doing that Asimo form that he did, and it's, dude, just
Remind me a little bit of
insane.
it. It's not pop. I mean, Kevin Thompson's
Yeah.
obviously popping. That
Just
performance is not
insane.
popping in.
Just insane. Just where he comes in with the, the high block, low block, and he put on like a performance of a lifetime, right? And I'll just never forget that. To me, that was his night. KA just killed it. And I just remember I being like, it was one of my most like favorite ones to watch, right? And here's another thing that just clicked in my head. Why I remember being so close to the stage and why I remember like who the medic was. Me and my allergies, I got a bloody nose watching the event. I was so hyped.
Wait, what?
I know. I'm
How
sitting there
happen?
and I'm just hyped and I got too hot or something, or I don't know, dude. And I had to go to the medic because my nose is bleeding.
That's a thing?
Yep, that's the thing. That happened to me a bunch, man. So yeah, crazy, right? So
yes.
So dude, this event was killer. All right, 1997 Ocean State to me is one of the best final shows. I think there's a lot of video of it on Karate Video Guys. So go check that out. Wally I think has some. So great event. So, and it's not like I'd forget after that, but that was for me those 3 years or not 4 years, 94, 95, 96, 97. It was just one of those big events, as far as new teams coming out, people from all over coming, that was just huge, 99, 98, big events. 2000 was crazy because it was an NBL tournament, and that was a big change, right? The finals was different. Everything was different.
Now, let's pause just for a sec.
Let's go there.
Because you said 2000, it changed because it was an NBL tournament. This area, and you kind of referenced this earlier when you were like, listen, in April we got this, in May we had the New England Open. So the local competitors, well, high and low, as far as, a skill level and ability, will be there because it's right freaking there, right? Why wouldn't you? Anyway, so if you do, was it so weird because maybe, and I'm asking the question, because it switched to an NBL tournament, were the local competitors not on the up and up as to what everything was supposed to be? I'm asking.
So it was weird because the Crane was still involved because that was part of them moving over, is that they got Crane involved in NBL and within SKIL. So locally it was still there. All right. You just certain people that follow NASCA, just NASCA, weren't there. Right.
Sure.
But you still have the support from Canada, which was huge, like the Quebec guys, and everyone there. You still had all the Crane people there. And then you also had like the NBL people from Philadelphia and New Jersey, because the tournament right before that in NBL was Atlantic City. Okay. So that was American. All right. So you had that. You also had all the Syracuse and the Buffalo area and those people following. So, and then you had people from Kansas, and because the whole conference was at the time was Amerikick, which is New Jersey,
Word.
AKA, which was Chicago. So you had everyone from there. Okay. You had Ocean State, so the New England area. You had Dixieland, which was South Carolina, the South. You had, I think, and then you had Tornadoes, which was Kansas City. So that's a huge conference. That's the whole East Coast, eastern side, right? So you had a big part of that. And actually, I believe, too, that El Paso was a part of that as well. So, I mean, yeah, so it was just a huge conference where everyone was there, okay? Like, remember when I told you about Ryan Huntley coming to the event, to be a part of our team and end up getting picked up by SES, even though we paid for him to come to the event? Like, that's the kind of thing that, it's like, and he's from California, so it was nuts, man. Yes, Brett, he was there. Brett was there as well. The mix of rules and people was weird, and it made for a lot of confusion, and a ton of arbitration. That's true. For me, I remember, let's see, how did I put this? Alex Davidov, he did both NBL and NASCA that year, and him just killing it. Butch Marks doing an amazing job. I remember just
that was like Alex Davidov's year too.
A whole different just vibe. You know what I mean? You had people like myself. You had Chris Merleras, who was an amazing person in forums at that time. Jesse Jones, so many different competitors. Chris Sublett, that were just NASCA, NBL, everybody. And so yeah, it was just a wild event, lots of fun. Really, that tournament that year was Jason Tankson's. He won the Fighting Grand, and he won the Forms Grand. So he beats Raymond for the overall Grand, and then he beats Jimmy Pham for the men's Open Grand. So this dude just finished.
Wild.
It was just like, hey, this is mine, right? And we got third or fourth in teams, because remember I told you we had that BP scored with a back fist over Trevor in overtime for that fight, that team fight. So lots of fun. Oh yeah, last time that Peter Fabrizio competed, you're right. Yeah, Peter Fabrizio passed away after that. So that was wild. Man, there's just so many cool things about it because it was just different, right? But that place was the venue that they had it for the next few years for a while after that. So just lots of good memories about Ocean State, man. And I really think this year is going to be another one. All the teams are going to be there. Go out and support them. They're putting the money up. They're doing the right things.
Well, that's the thing. I think you said it right, Jeff. The money's there. There's always an event that's going to be a notable event that people are going to talk about. And right. you never know what it is. Okay. So if you have the ability, the skill, and the desire to get to it, to be competing at a tournament, this might be old man speak. This is old man speak. But listen, you don't know how long you really have doing this. You don't know. How many Jeff Dosses are there really? I can't think of a second one. Okay. So, I mean, for someone to say like, yeah, I'm 23, but listen, I got another, 15, 16 years. You don't know that. Right. You don't know what life's going to throw your way. Right. You have no idea. And to say, yeah, I'm always going to do martial arts. That is totally, everybody would believe you. You say like, hey, listen, I'm always going to compete. Most people would believe you if you say that. What that looks like, you have no idea. And here's a great point. And listen, I know this sounds like old man speak. Jeff, how many tournaments have you and I been to that we wanted to win or we did win that no longer exists today?
Oh, God. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
100% out of your control.
Yeah.
You can be like, I'm waiting.
I just mentioned what? 3 of them? I just mentioned what?
In this conversation.
At least 5 of them. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So many. I tell people every now and then, I was like, did you know that there was a tournament where they gave out a Rolex if you won? Yeah. They're like, what? Let me go to that tournament. How come they don't do it? How come they don't hand it out anymore? I was like, because the tournament don't exist.
Right. Did you know
Think about
June
that.
Reed? Did you know June Reed used to have there used to be a June Reed tournament?
Yep.
It's like,
Yeah.
I mean,
All these things, and you
there's a
never
tournament in
know.
Denver. I mean, geez.
You never know if this
Right.
is the one. And that's not trying to guilt people, because I love martial arts and I love high level martial arts, and I want to, if I'm not in it at that level, but this is the involvement I want to have, and I want to love people who love martial arts.
Yeah.
I will always lean on the sign of get your butt out there and compete.
That's right. All right, so we're going to go to my competitors of the week. I'm going right into the Bradys, Donald and Ronald Brady. Again, this is going to be a very northern New England area heavy show, because that's what we're talking about, right?
Yep.
But these two guys, two of the best kickers, in my opinion, ever, because of the high-low, right? The high-low was something that everyone talked about. Oh, the Bradys with that high-low. Faking high, doing a psychic high, going psychic low to the body is usually what they meant, right? Or around to the head, or fake high and then dive right down that psychic right to the body. So imagine that, especially in the 1st to 5 era, with 2-point kicks, and they could just boom. And then a lot of times though, they would use that to set up their blitz, but they also would use that to set up like spin kicks and tornado kicks and 360 wheel kicks, because they were good at stuff like that, right? It's just
rear leg kicks. People just
rear leg kick. Yeah, just crazy stuff. And both of them were just amazing, right? Both of them great. Lightweight and light middleweight fighters. And yes, on their own, two great individual competitors. But when you're talking about, if I want two people to like build a team around for team fighting, that was it, right? You look at it, Metro. You look at Mike Conroy saying, "Hey, I'm going to get do trade wins. Who are the people I'm going to start with? Ronald and Donald Brady, right? I mean, it's just like Miami Vice,
Yeah.
Or was it Miami Vice had those
Miami
guys.
Vice.
I mean, the Bradys just could do it, and it just made sense, right? And again, we talked, the weirdest thing was when Donald went to Donald and Ronald were on different teams. It was like, wait, what? Like, one was on Metro, one was on JPM. It just felt weird. It didn't last long. It lasted like 2 tournaments. Okay. But I just know these two guys, two of the best competitors ever. But I just feel like, team fighting wise, those two may be two of the best team fighting competitors ever, right? When you really think about it, because people put their team with them and Mafia on that top 5 list, really, right?
This is very true.
And you think about a lot of the team wins that they have, or even like I talked before, trade wins beating JPM. I think they did it twice that year. The Bradys are on there, They're just, these guys are just, I think
they're winners.
Yeah, exactly. They're winners, right?
They're not like, you don't think about the time when JPM beat straight up at the US Open or whatever year. You don't really think about that, because it might be a JPM team of Ray, Jotty, and Reggie Perry, which you might be thinking, well, of course, they're supposed to do that, right? But you think about this when you say, like what you just said, like, oh yeah, when trade wins beat, JPM, because number one, it's JPM, right? And I've talked about,
dude, think about that team.
When you're on JPM at that time, you're the best in the world. Yeah. You're the best in the world. That's what it is. And that was the standard for decades. You're on that team, you're the best in the world, right?
And that team, those JPM teams in 97, 96, 97, like you're talking about Brian Ruth, Pedro Xavier, Mike Pombero. There's that. Then you also have Reggie Perry. So, yeah. I mean, you're talking, and then you still had Babcock, who was competing. You still had Peyton, who was competing at times. Mm-hmm. You had all these guys. Like, it was just nuts. I'm probably forgetting. Alberto showed up every now and then.
And was Gerald Dawson? Was he?
Not yet. Gerald Dawson was on Team Elite.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So he was on Metro before that. He was on Team Elite. So
then let's circle back to Donald and Ronald. I mean, like I said, they're just winners.
Yeah.
Right. So I had a fair amount of time, in person training with Donald, and it is not a normal thing. All right. I really wish I would have had the same with Ronald.
Right.
That's a regret. No, it's not even a regret. It's not out of my control. It's just a wish that I wish I would have had. Right. Donald is and so is Ronald. This is real. They're just real dudes, right?
Yeah.
They're real, right? It's as real as you get. Those guys, nothing fake about them. No two ways about it. And these are some of the coolest guys that you could be with, hang with.
Always, dude.
Let's go back to the fighting, though. So it happened. I saw it in competition, right? And they're just those guys were like, they'll throw like this one move in competition where the whole building is like, how is that possible?
Right.
But if you trained with them, you were like, yeah, you hit me with that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So Donald is, and I know I told this story before, so if you heard this before, whatever, but I told the story 2.5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
But I'll do it again because it was that great, right? The building literally shook. So Donald Brady's fighting Jack Felton to compete nationals in 2006, right? Jack's the young, quick athlete kid, and Donald's the champion vet. Is he going to stay on it? Is Jack going to win? And Jack's winning the fight, and Donald's in every exchange. He's winning. There's no blowout, right? And Donald pulls through with a rear leg inside crescent kick across Jack's face. And Jack looked like he was trying to jam a kick, like he was trying to leap up to jam, like do a jam back fist.
Yeah.
And Donald switched legs and does an inside crescent kick, and the building exploded because I think the last time any of us threw that kick is when we would like march up and down the classroom, clapping your foot to your hand just for warm-ups. This dude actually hit someone in the face with it. And you're like, this is not real life.
That's awesome.
Yes. That's what it's like training with the Bradys.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, man. So look them up, guys. Two great competitors, two great people. So, all right. Your competitor of the week, another one from that up north, New England, Empire State area.
My competitor of the week is Daniel Sterling. Now, Daniel Sterling had, at the time what you were mentioning, like in the late 90s, he was a really good up-and-coming junior, right? And I think he had a couple of junior championships in like 98-ish type of time, 99, right?
Yeah, he not as much. Like he showed up and people were like aware of him. You know what I mean? Like aware of him.
Like you were aware, like, this kid could be something.
Yes, but what's funny is like for me, the first time that I really heard about Raymond Daniels was from the self-defense. That was the same thing with Daniel Sterling. Daniel Sterling would do these crazy self-defense routines up in the New York area, right? Okay. And it was just wild and crazy. They're doing like suplexes and power bombs and hurricane ranas and all this wrestling stuff with all this tricking. It was just crazy. But yeah, him and his partner, I can't remember his partner, but they had some crazy self-defense stuff. So that was how I remember, talking to him. And then next thing 98, 99, he's just coming up. 2000.
That's when he put his stamp. In 2000, we mentioned we had, I think it was a major thing. We had two episodes. We talked about the year 2000. Daniel Sterling was a figure in that at that time because that's when he came out. Everything changed in the year 2000. John Valera stepping away.
Open the door.
And listen, can't think if anybody wants to call this sports blasphemy or whatever, but it did seem similar to when Michael Jordan stepped away from basketball.
Right.
Then it was like, well, John Valera's not there.
Yeah.
Then I guess a whole bunch of us could win. Right.
Yeah, but it opened your eyes to all this other stuff that was going on, right?
Right.
Like it was crazy. So.
And it was the same thing I mentioned earlier, like just saying, oh yeah, John Valera won another one. Like, no, that doesn't tell the story, right? Now, if he's not there, we get to see the full story, right? Mm-hmm. So when he wasn't there, then you started seeing other guys, right? Yeah. Like Jimmy now is an adult. Jimmy Pham is an adult. Now we see Daniel Sterling. Jeff
Ficajiri, had all
Jeff Ficajiri. That's a great point. But Daniel Sterling was really the one who probably did this move the best and most consistent when he started doing the corkscrew. All right. He was the one who probably did it the most.
Corkscrew, then corkscrew to split, right?
Corkscrew to split. Now, here's the other thing. We're still in the time frame. There's no combos. The only time someone did a combo was when like Carmichael did the combo, and that was like nobody even thought to try to replicate or repeat that. Right?
He was doing it on NASCA, and then Ramir Mosquito was doing it in NBL.
Yeah, so, I think he did. You would see like 2 move combos. That's what you would see, right?
Yeah.
So like nobody's doing this. We're still into the here's your big move, right?
Yeah.
Hand combo, spin kick, big move. Whether it's a pop up, whether it's a spin kick into split, you weren't seeing a ton of these, all right? So like you just said, Daniel Sterling did a corkscrew, then corkscrew to split. Like nobody knew. There was guys who were competing in the same division, never even seen that move before. Right. And you're like, what is this thing? So his 2 divisions, well, 3, I suppose, were musical forms, open forms. That's what we call it, open forms. All right. I'm still a proponent. We should go back to that.
Because in 2000 they started letting you do multiple divisions. So.
Right. Right. And then they would do weapons, right? Which was called weapons. I think it wasn't until like the next year, like we have open weapons now.
Yeah.
Right. Which is fine. I'm actually very okay with that. Right. But I still think it should be open. We should get rid of the creative, the musical, the extreme. It should be musical, open, but it's not the topic. Okay. So he was really kind of the comma guy also. All right. He was like the next guy up. And his technique was super clean, super solid. And really, it was kind of looking like, all right, is it going to be him? Is it going to be Anthony Atkins? Anthony Atkins' technique, is it going to finally come together? Because nobody's tricks are as good as Anthony Atkins, right? Anthony Atkins, literally, when you would watch it, like when Wally Faulkner would videotape and you'd be watching back the videotape of the finals, he's sitting so far back, Wally is, that he can just have it set in one spot and he can catch everything. But when Anthony Atkins would jump, the camera would have to lift up and then go back down. Anthony Atkins was the outlier. He was the reason the camera had to move. So,
but the intensity that Daniel had with his tricks,
so much better.
Yeah. So it was just different, right? And then he always elevated it each year. And then he kind of became that, how do you say it? Like that veteran, but almost like the person all the other guys looked up to, like
absolutely.
you ask Matt Emming, that's who he looked up to. Will Valentine, all these guys, Sammy Smith still talks about Daniel Sterling is her instructor. That's the one that really pushed her coach. So this guy just did so much. For me, it was the rivalry in 2001 with Jason Tankson really informs, and a lot of it was that, because Jason won a lot in 2000. They both were kind of going back and forth. And then 2001, it kept going on. So it was really cool just to see them going back and forth. And they went to every tournament. Both of those guys went to every tournament. So
yeah. And then the other thing with Daniel around that time is because Daniel was on Team Straight Up, he was Joe's guy. And then midway through that 2001 season, he goes on JPM.
Yeah.
Wearing the coolest uniform for forms I've ever seen JPM guys wear, where it was the black uniform, but like the white, part that goes across the front of your uniform. Like that was cool. They need to bring that back, by the way. That was cool.
I thought that was cool too. I try to explain how cool that was to like my team, and they're like, "That's weird. Why would you do that?" No, I'm like,
"It's why it's cool.
Awesome. It's why it's cool. It's why like I love the Metro uniforms back in the day that were the red line, white and black, which were just like that. And then they also had the blue, red, white, and blue one that was like that. It was just like part of the uniform. One side, one wrap over was one color and one was the other.
Yes, cool, that's what we're talking about. Yes, absolutely.
Same thing. Yeah. So
well, let's lean into a little bit of what you were just saying. You were like, he was so many people's coach. He had a team.
Yeah.
Team DS, right?
Yep.
And I remember, because I'm always doing this, I'm always like a fly on the wall trying to listen to, like what's going on? Not like listening to personal conversations, but if it's out and it's open, and
Yeah.
And I remember Charlie Lee going to Daniel Sterling saying, "How can you have a team while still being on Team Paul Mitchell? Right? You can't have your own team
Right.
and then still be on this team."
Yeah.
And his response, I'll never forget this. And he goes, "You didn't have a problem when Mike Chat did it."
Right.
And I went, "Oh, because it was cool." Because he's right. Mike Chat had Team Chat International,
Right.
Which the international part didn't make a lot of sense, right? But what's better? It's Mike Chat, right? And he was on Team Paul Mitchell.
Right.
Same exact thing.
Yeah.
The difference is Daniel Sterling seemed like that was like all the other peers, like they could literally be your peers. You could literally be in his division and feel like that's my guy. That's my guy.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm competing in his division. Like, I would love for you to train me, right?
Yeah.
And really, the team of guys that he had, they were just super cool. They just had a level of cool.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. Big ups to this guy. Great competitor, great pioneer in sport karate. So Daniel
I
Sterling.
think the only person who wasn't on Team DS, who probably should have been,
was who?
was Jeff Doss.
Oh, I was on CJB, bro. I was good.
It was nice.
All right, guys. So we've had a great show. Check out oceanstategrandnational.net. Go to the Smoky Mountain Showdown, March 18th. Go to their website. I think you
Go ahead and volunteer to judge. Apparently, you'll get some whiskey.
Yeah, moonshine.
Moonshine. Sorry.
Yeah. And go check out virtualfighttour.com. Also, guys, right after this, we're going to record Patreon episode talking about
the inside,
my weekend I had at the tournament and some crazy things that happened there, and just some fun, some things that happened just throughout the day in my life, and
buckle up for
Alex's crazy DJ
buckle
life.
Up.
So join us at patreon.com/MAI Network. All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week, and hopefully we're gonna have a special guest.
This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I'm Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. See you guys.